And so much of exercise video, diet video is just too much confusing out there.
The magic happens when you're
Absolutely.
resting and sleeping.
A small nap for 20 minutes, half an hour, it just charges you up.
Sleep well, make sure you eat enough protein, exercise, resistance training. Most important one is change the mindset.
And like too much knowledge is also dangerous. Right? So Manisha, today we are going to speak all about menopause, pre-menopause, post-menopause. I know a lot of listeners out there who would be thinking that, okay, I'm not on that phase, let me not hear that, but it is so important to listen, understand, and also to be, proactive, to take measures, whatever you can with early in your life as well. So as you have been helping a lot of women who are going through this stage, whether it is pre, post, or of course, menopause as well. What are your experiences or what challenges do you face generally when you're dealing with the clients?
So firstly, I think you're absolutely right. Every woman needs to know at least past the age of 35, because we know that menopause can happen at any stage. And the more awareness and understanding and knowledge we have, it will just prepare you a lot better. So, and that awareness is now being increased by doing things like this. We have a lot more older women talking about it. There's a platform there now. So a lot of the women that come to me are either don't know much. Actually, there's a lot of misinformation out there about menopause, so that's one thing. But most of the women that I work with, most of the women that follow me are probably going through menopausal at some stage of their menopause. And let's face it, a lot of the times they're going through menopause, but they might not even perimenopause. But they might not even know. So it's just it's just understanding what do we need to look out for to know. Could this be menopause, or could it just be life that we're going through? Because at that stage of life, women are quite busy, aren't they, with children, careers, looking after parents. So there's quite a lot going on.
Actually, and funny thing, like you said, at that stage, women are very busy, because if you look at a woman's journey, even in a broader aspect, they get into a proper career between the age of 30 and 40, and that's the time when most of them have the babies who are growing up. Mostly the kids are at teens and all. If you look at the average, and then the entire family, the friends, they will say that, okay, mom is having a lot of tantrums, or I don't know why she's got a lot of mood swings and things like that. And the family issues get more heated, a tiny topic gets more heated, because the family thinks that, something is wrong with her, or she's behaving like that. And, the kids have, of course, teenagers have their own tantrums. And that, I think, at that stage, the kind of help which a woman should get, she's not getting that, because she's already dealing with a lot.
They're not getting the support because they themselves might not know. A lot of women don't want to admit that they're going through menopause, because it's a reality check. We're getting older, things are changing. And also with regard to the family, husbands, partners, children, they don't know enough. So how can they give the support that they need? My husband hears me talking about menopause all the time, and yet sometimes he will still say to me, are you sure that's menopause, or is that just you? So when I said to him, when I first started to go through perimenopause, and I said to him, yeah, I think I'm a little bit irritable, He said, but you've always been irritable. So, but that can sometimes just switch that button on for a woman that doesn't need to hear that kind of information. So really, everybody needs to know about menopause. Even if you're a young 20-year-old, you can support the older women in your house.
At least by understanding.
Just by understanding, because it's difficult.
Yeah, it's not only, this knowledge has to be, the entire family should be educated about it.
Yeah.
If you have a female at your home, you have to learn, whether it's a boy, girl, you're a son, you're a father, anything, you should be knowing what is menopause, what is perimenopause, because the symptoms are actual there. So many times people are like, nahi, aisa kuch nahi hota, it's just that age is catching up or things like that. But it is, like you said, people are in denial, they will like, okay, nothing like that. Half of us, we don't want to accept that, okay, you're aging, that is why things are happening. And half of us are completely, ignorant about the knowledge.
Our bodies are changing, and we need to change in alignment with those, because we now, I believe that when we get to, in my opinion, your 40s is the most important decade of your life, because you have the ability to change the future. And now, at my age anyway, 53, I say to women, it's not about what you're doing now, it's about the future. We have seen our parents struggling with, with medical conditions, being frail, not being able to eat. There are so many things that we have witnessed, this generation. We need to change that. And the only way that we can change that is by empowerment and education, and just getting the right support that we need. But, the awareness is where it starts first. So having the conversations like this, women just learning more and more what they can do to help others, is a really good start.
Yeah. In fact, a funny, interesting thing, I'm sure this might be relevant to a lot of our listeners. I think a lady walked up to me. She just touched 40. And she did not know that what is happening with her. She was like, I cannot sleep. I am getting panic, anxiety all the time. She was saying that, okay, I'm facing a lot of, it might be a mental health issue, but I'm not able to sleep. I'm always anxious. I am, crying random times without any reason. And I wasn't like that. I'm it's like, I'm losing my body completely. And she went through all the doctors, she, got all the checkup done. Everything was fine. Her blood work was fine. All her minerals and everything was fine. She also did some consultations with, the psychologist and things like that. She was going through it. But when suddenly, while having the conversation, I was like, okay, how old are you? She was like, okay, I am turning 40. So, then I was like, okay, when did your mother got the menopause? What age? Do you know that? She was like, yeah, she had some ovarian things, so she got her uterus removed and things. So she got her, menopause very early, which was around 35 or 36. So I was like, have you talked to your gynecologist? It can be, I'm not saying that, it is not, but it can be a perimenopause, because these are the symptoms, you should consider, like, no, it's not, I am very young, my friend group they are 45, menopause comes at 50 plus, why are you talking like this, doctor? Okay, I'm like, okay, if a patient is not interested to listen, why would I? I'm like, okay, I'm just telling you, just consider this and just talk to your gynecologist, whoever you go, in detail, and maybe get your hormones checked done. So then, after pushing a lot while we were doing the coaching, the health coaching, I pushed her a lot, although I'm not supposed to do that. She went, she got her hormones checked done, she sat down with the gynecologist, and then she was like, okay, it can be. And that acceptance really brought a lot of change in her.
It's really difficult. And, I've got some friends who are going through menopause around about the age of 40, and they feel like their youth has almost been snatched away. And I totally understand that. I was 46 when I started going through it. And as we know, perimenopause can last anything up to 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult the younger you are. But I've had clients and friends who have been diagnosed as young as 38. So this is why it's good just to know some basic facts. And as you know, perimenopause or menopause isn't just about, I haven't had a period for 2 months, because there are so many symptoms. I've had 4 very unusual, well, I say unusual, but I thought they were unusual symptoms last year, which I would never have related to menopause, So I had bleeding gums. So we know that oral health is extremely important because of the lack of estrogen. So ladies, you must listen to your dentist,
actually,
when they tell you to do everything. Flossing, brushing regularly, really looking after your gums and your teeth, extremely important. Dry eyes was another symptom that I had. Actually, somebody who was following me once mentioned to me that your eyes are always watering. I think you should get them checked out. I said, oh, no, it's fine. It's just because it's cold outside, because it only happens when it's cold outside. So I went to see a specialist, and even opticians and optometrists don't really know fully how menopause can affect
they don't
eyes.
Yeah, they don't know.
So that was the 2 of them, and then I got diagnosed with gluteal tendinopathy last year, and that was because of an injury that happened earlier on in the year. But again, it's very common in menopausal women. So I would never, the gluteal tendinopathy, I would never have put down to, menopause. And for anybody listening, if they're not sure, it's when you have like a dull ache and pain in your bum, and it can start at the hip and work all the way down. And that's taken that was November, and we're in August now. So it's taken all that time for it to recover. So recovery takes a lot longer. Everything takes a lot longer. So we just need to be mindful about the changes that are happening.
Yeah.
We need to be in tune with our bodies. And what do we need to do to minimize the symptoms and also the severity of those symptoms? And that all starts with diet.
Absolutely. Definitely everything starts with diet and lifestyle. But funny thing, Michelle, a lot of these symptoms are not even being told in our,
Yes.
while I was reading, my gynecology and my subject and all, these tiny symptoms are not mentioned there. How we understood that, okay, when there is so many ladies going through these kind of symptoms, it can be a part of perimenopause or menopause,
Yeah.
Again, like the dull pain which you are mentioning, a lot of time people confuse it with sciatica and
Yes.
various other
Yeah.
things, and it the confusion happens because because of overlapping diagnosis, and there's no written rule. Okay, these are the checkpoints which will tell you, okay, the menopause, you are one of the person who is getting menopause. I mean, the broader ones we of course know
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But the tiny ones which gives us the indication far more early, which one should be taking care of, is completely masked, I feel,
And unfortunately, in the UK, doctors aren't aware. I say to my clients sometimes, I really wish I could record some of our phone calls where
Yeah.
women are literally in tears because they've been told that they're over exaggerating their symptoms, they don't exist, they're too young, HRT
yes.
will cause breast cancer. I mean, so if you're already going through all of that already, and then you go to seek help from a professional, and that's what they tell you, it just kind of puts you off wanting to even speak to anyone because you're not getting the right support.
Yeah.
So it can be so, so difficult, honestly, for so many women. And that's why I just think for every woman just needs to be made aware of what can happen, because not everybody will get all of these symptoms. You might get one or two, you might get none. I mean, my 1 year of perimenopause was a breeze. Literally, it was a breeze. I had a few days of sleepless nights and that was it. But most of my symptoms have come 8 years post-menopause. So they can continue. And I think that's what a lot of people don't, unfortunately, understand. So it can be really difficult, but this is something that we can control. And the earlier you take control, the easier it will be for you to make that transition when the time comes. Because we don't know when it's going to happen.
Exactly.
It could be happening right now to somebody, but they don't know.
I know, it's so sad, when the specialists tell that, okay, these are nothing. It just makes you feel that you are kind of, they put you like that, okay, you are a cuckoo, it's nothing real. And that's why I think the psychologists are earning so much.
Yeah.
Because the actual, the doctors, they're saying, okay, there's nothing, And also, if a woman goes and speak about their perimenopause, or, an educated woman who knows that, okay, these are the symptoms, probably I'm getting there. People will like, your mother didn't had any problem. Our parents didn't had. They survived. They never said anything. They were going through everything, smiling and everything. But everyone forgets that was a complete different generation. I mean, they had their issues. They had their problem. Probably they didn't speak about because they didn't had the information at that time.
And also their lifestyles were very different. Like if you look at lifestyles now, we know that diet habits, exercise, movement, all of those are really important. So now women drink a lot more, some may smoke, we eat out a lot more. So the food that we are eating is totally different. Whereas back, my mother's generation, they ate at home. Life was a lot less, they were stressed in a different way. Women nowadays are a lot more stressed with family, home, careers. There's a lot more stress on women now. So when you add all of that up together, it's a very different experience that women are going through menopause back then and now.
Absolutely. I mean, very tiny little things makes a lot of difference, Like you're mentioning, women are going through a lot at this time. I mean, now most of the women are working, they have their career to follow, they have their kids who, the teen hormones are also real. Now they have the family to handle, they have the social dues to handle. There's so many things which overlap one top of another. And also so many things, there are wonderful women out there pursuing their career, following so much of their own passion. But the sad thing is that, during this phase, I've seen that a lot of career graph of the women also goes down. They're not able to perform, focus at their work, and suddenly they are getting bashed out of nowhere that, okay, you're not able to do this, the work is lying, the procrastination happens. That's also, by the way.
Concentration, memory, it happened to me. Yeah. So I was in a corporate job. I changed my role in March 2020, so just before COVID. And so that year was very different. I was in a sales job. I was telling you, I worked with with healthcare professionals. And one day somebody said to me, do you not listen in team meetings? And I said, yeah. I said, I try to take as many notes as I can. But, I said, I forget, And then sometimes if I'm sat there with my manager and she would say to me, oh, what are your top 10 for performing accounts? I can't remember. I can't remember what I did yesterday. In a minute, you might ask me a question which should be really basic, something that I should be able to answer. But my memory isn't the same as what it wasn't, so that cognitive function changes. And now there are some companies in the UK now that have a menopause policy, but we didn't. And that can really affect your self-esteem really badly, because you were once a high-performing achiever, and now you can't remember something so basic. And you're a doctor, I used to go and speak to doctors. So imagine if you said to me, tell me about your drug. What are the side effects? How does it work? And I couldn't tell you that basic information because I can't remember it. And then also word recall, where you forget words, which is I still have that now.
Yeah. Okay.
What's it called? What's it called? And my husband's like, stop saying thingy. And I said, but I can't help it. I genuinely can't. I didn't know that was a menopause thing.
Yeah.
So lots of women are surprised to hear. It's called word recall, where you cannot name of a word for something that you're trying to describe, something so simple. And this used to bother me a lot, coming on podcasts, doing Instagram lives, even speaking to clients during lives. And now I think I'm not embarrassed about it, because this is a symptom of menopause. So we have to understand that we're all going through it, and we have to just be supportive and understanding that, okay, do you know what? She should have known that, but she's a human being. So, we have to be a little bit more sympathetic and understanding.
So, while you you help a lot of menopausal women, these symptoms are, of course, they come across you. So what about the memory, what are the memory aspect? Like, does it get better once the menopause stage is over, or it remains like that? Why I'm asking, because, a lot of time, again, it is overlapped with aging. It happens with men also, because, once you are 40, 50, your kind of memory, unless you don't sharpen it every day by doing memory games and trying to recall the, whatever the memory games are, it gets little weak. So what is your experience?
So my experience, if I'm going to be totally honest, so I went on to HRT 4 years after the menopause, so 4 years. And it was a very difficult decision, because I wasn't, like I said, didn't really have many symptoms. But I did have the word recall. Has it got any better? For me, not really. It has got better, but there are still times when you could ask me, what did I do yesterday? What time did I land here? I'll take me 5 minutes to answer the question, but you can ask me what I did 4 months ago, and I will know. So I think it's very different for people, but also as we get older, as you know, our brain is filled with so much more information than it was when we're 20. Like when you're 20, what did you have to worry about? Oh, what shoes shall I wear with that outfit? Now it's like, oh gosh, I've got to be there on time. I've got to do this. My kids are teenagers. They're about to turn 13. So it's all their stuff that I have to remember. It's all my stuff, my work that I have to remember. I'm looking after my mom. So naturally, as you get older, your brain is just being filled with a lot more things.
Yeah.
There's a lot more responsibility, with a household and this and that. So I think it's just a combination of everything, like you said. But there are things that you can do, obviously diet-wise. There are some supplements that can help. Training your brain, I think, is really important, So there are things that you can do to help. But the earlier you start, the better.
That's true. So let's talk about diet now. So, HRT is of course one of the thing which definitely gives so much of benefit to a lot of females out there. How can diet help at this stage, and what kind of changes one need to do during the perimenopause, and what one can do, before getting also into perimenopause or menopause?
So, as I said earlier, your body is changing, and it's changing. Menopause is basically the rest of your life now. So we need to change our eating habits in alignment to those. So a lot of women will say, I can just look at a cream cake now and I'll gain 3 kilos, as before you could eat what you wanted to.
Yeah.
So we know that's because of the lack of estrogen again. And there is something called fat remobilization, where fat moves from one part of the body to around the midriff. That is true. So our brain, our muscles need more support. Our bones need more support. So we need to eat to support that, and our brain, of course. So all our organs, our heart, everything. So we know that the risk of developing heart disease is a lot higher. So how can diet help there? Eating more fiber. What is fiber? Fiber is complex carbohydrates. So women should not be cutting out carbohydrates.
Yeah,
they might
very
need to
important.
reduce some of them. So if you're eating dal and then roti and then potatoes, and then you need to have the right balance of protein and carbohydrates. So we definitely need a lot more protein. Most people, regardless of menopausal or not, men or women, do not eat enough protein.
Yeah.
We need
And particularly Indian people, we
Yes.
lack protein so terribly.
Particularly if you're vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I'm vegetarian, and it's difficult. And when people come to me as a vegetarian, I will say, look, you see, I want women to continue to eat what they enjoy. We just need to make a few tweaks, right? Because you have to eat for the rest of your life. And I'm a big believer in food is not just there as a function, but it is there socially. It's there for pleasure and enjoyment.
Absolutely.
So we just need to just slightly change a few things. But as a vegetarian, you just need to work that little bit harder to get the protein in. And if you're vegan, it's even harder.
Oh, yeah.
So, ladies, honestly, it's so, so, so important. This is the one thing that pretty much everybody struggles with the most. But it's so important for our bones and muscles as we get older. So important.
Yeah, so you said fibers, which can be, from complex carb, which can be from vegetables and things like that, and protein, which is a big one, which, one needs to take care of, absolutely, for sure. So what do people like you're vegetarian or vegan people, what can people take their meal, in their meal regularly to complete their, protein needs?
Yeah.
What are the examples for that?
So I'll just take a step back. There are 3 food groups: carbohydrates, protein, and healthy fats. And then we have fruit and vegetables. All of those need to be incorporated into your meals every single day, every single meal. So what do I eat as a vegetarian? So I'm a creature of habit. So every morning I go to the gym. I like to work out in the morning, and I have a smoothie, which I make, but a smoothie which is almost a meal. So it has protein powder in there, fruit and vegetables, has spinach and beetroot, some dates, chia seeds, and a little bit of water and fresh turmeric.
Oh, wow.
So that for me, I love it.
That sounds delicious
as
well.
It's so nice. But I'm a person that needs to physically chew my food.
Yeah.
So I don't drink it. It's something that I eat with a spoon. It's important because if you're physically chewing, it's signaling to your brain that you're going to get full, satisfaction.
Yeah.
So what do I eat? I like to eat Indian food. So that is a big thing for me. So wherever possible. But I get a lot of my protein in from foods. So I like tofu, paneer, Greek yogurt, cheese. And then there are some plant-based meats. I think there are some in India now, tempeh and soya products. They are good. So I like to have a variety of, apart from my breakfast, which is the smoothie, it's just whatever I fancy. But every meal has to have protein in. Every meal has to have carbohydrates. It's so important. And especially if you are working out, you need the additional protein and you need the carbohydrates for the energy.
So do you do all your meals with the counting of protein, which they say you should have the protein with as much body weight you have. So like, are you able to do that, or would you recommend it, or
Yeah.
something less is also okay? What do you?
So that's a really good question. The amount of protein that you need is based on body weight. Now, how much? There are lots of different people that will tell you different things. The evidence suggests that you need approximately 1.5 grams per kilo of body weight. So if you're 70 kilos, that would be 90 grams a day. And ideally, that should be in every single meal. But you see, my job is to make everything easier for people. So are you going to be able to wake up tomorrow and start having 90 grams of protein? Probably not.
Yeah, it's not possible, you know.
So I'm going to say slowly, gradually educate yourself. What is protein? What do you like? And then start to slowly, gradually increase it. Because as long as you're doing something every day to help you, it's better than what you were doing yesterday. And that's my philosophy. That's my motto. We're not in any rush because we're going to be doing this for the rest of our life. So just take your time and plan initially. Like with everything, it will be a little bit of hard work because you're having to take on that knowledge and understand, and it might be very confusing for people. But please make sure also that you follow the right people on social media.
Oh yes, I know.
There are so, I get sick of
information overload on diet and
there's
nutrition.
so much misinformation, disinformation. And you know what? There are so many people out there to make money from menopausal, vulnerable women. So if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If something is scaremongering, don't listen to it because everything is good for you. A bar of chocolate is good for you. Dosa is good for you. Mango is good for you, even though you're diabetic. We just need to learn how to eat food properly. And I am so passionate about that. Honestly, I cannot tell you, because one of the hardest things about my job is convincing, especially Indian women, that it's okay to eat Indian food. It's definitely okay to eat rice, and it's definitely okay to eat roti. And they're like, really? Even if I want to lose weight? And I'm like, yes. So I make a habit of a point of eating Indian food to prove to you that, yes, look, if I'm 53, I can lose weight, I can manage my symptoms, so can you. But we just need to get that balance right. Yeah. So if you like roti and rice, maybe have half a portion that you would have done. Don't have 5 rotis and then have 5, big cups of rice, for example. So, eat it in moderation. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea that you don't have to give up anything, just eat in moderation. That's the key. I mean, if you want to reach out for a piece of cake also, just eat it in moderation and just adjust the carbs somewhere, I think this practice, like you said, it's kind of a lifelong, so it better make it a lifestyle rather than a lot of people, do some crash diet. They will like, okay, I need to get into this dress or this function, XYZ. They would do for a period, and then of course, it's not long lasting.
And it's so bad for you. It can have such a damaging effect on your metabolic rate to do fad diets, low calorie diets. Every now and again, it's fine, right? If you've done it before. But again, one of the things that I find with a lot of women is their past diet habits have come back to bite them, and really it's making it difficult for them
because of the emotions as well.
It's everything, like if you've crash dieted before and you've lost a significant amount of weight, your metabolic rate is naturally going to change, which means that your metabolism can slow down a little bit. And then when you get to 40 or 50 and you expect that same rate of weight loss, it's not going to happen, unless you do anything drastic. So what I just want women to do is just to not go overboard on anything. Even the exercise, the exercise is nothing. Oh, I'm going to do cardio. I'm going to do cardio. Don't be proud of the fact that you're doing 6 days a week of exercise. No, because your body needs rest. The magic. Somebody asked me a question on the radio the other day. What are your top 5 fitness foods? And I said, well, you're going to be surprised because only 3 of them are foods, because the other 2 is sleep and rest.
Yeah.
The magic happens when you're resting and sleeping. But, a lot of the time we forget, because we sometimes think, well, the more we do, the better.
I know, because we are kind of in competition, and also, the social media make us see that, okay, now people at 40, 50, they all are looking wonderful and charming without giving us the complete information that, like you are working out regularly, you eat properly and things like that. So I think and so much of exercise video, diet video is just too much confusing out there. The information is completely bizarre, and like too much knowledge is also dangerous, I feel.
It is.
What if your body is allowing you to work out, go work out, but if your body is saying, okay, just rest, listen to your body.
Yes.
Don't overboard. You don't. And also, if you work out 6 days or 7 days a week for, let's say 2 hours, 40 minutes, whatever, I think there is a plateau also. There's a plateau which comes,
Yes,
where
absolutely,
your
yes.
body is not changing. It is, it's not going anywhere. You're not getting toned, you're not losing weight, it's not affecting anything. Maximum is what it is doing, enhancing your mood. I think because of that reason, also a lot of females after 40 who work out excessively sometimes do get some damage.
Yes.
They hamper their.
My sister is one of those people. She is 1 year younger than me. She has done fad diets like you wouldn't believe, low calorie diets. She was about a size 18 a few years ago. And she was going to go back on another crash diet. And I said to her, why don't you just try my way? And for once in her life, she listened to me because, sisters don't really like listening to each other, do they? Yeah. But she listened to me. And previous to that, she used to eat 800 calories a day. And she used to work out in the gym 2 to 3 hours a day, 6 days a week.
My God.
So I said to her, I get quite emotional when actually people listen to me, because I think, oh my gosh, I'm telling you to do the total opposite of what you're doing, and you're prepared to listen. And guess what? They're the ones that get the results. So what my sister did was I cut everything back. I said, right, you need to eat 3 times more than what you're doing already. So she increased her calories. You might have heard sometimes you need to eat more to lose weight.
Yeah,
it's so true.
yeah.
And I stripped her back from going to the gym 4 times a week, 40 minutes a day. That is it. In 18 months, she's gone from a size 18 to a size 8/6.
Oh,
And that is just by consistency. No fad diets, nothing at all. Just a sustainable approach.
That's wonderful, and that's quite an example. Also, I think, Manisha, one of the reasons why, when people work out a lot and don't rest and don't sleep properly, the cortisol level,
Yes,
which increase, and that that messes up all the hormones. I mean, your estrogen levels are already fluctuating, your testosterone is going high and things, and now you're working out because it is making you feel better. But your cortisol is also raising. So when people follow like a crash diet or extreme intermittent fasting or working out too much, cortisol levels are something which completely hamper and ruins your body. And sleep, let's talk about sleep. I think I personally have realized, because I am also kind of hyper person when it comes to sleep. I like, okay, I don't want to sleep, I want to do this, I have to finish this, you get all the excitement around. But, gradually I realized, okay, now, I'm not getting enough energy. Maybe the whole day I'm just sipping caffeine, too much caffeine, because I have to be there, I have to survive, I have to be alert and attentive. Then caffeine I'm having the whole day. But I realized, okay, there was a point when I was like, okay, I am completely getting, all foggy because I'm not sleeping well. And sleep is something which is complete free, but we underestimate it so much.
it is doesn't matter what your goal is, whether it's to lose weight, manage menopause, have a goal in the gym. Sleep is where it all begins. So if there are, so like for example, I'm on holiday now, my diet is going to be a little bit different to usual. I might not get enough protein in, but if there's one thing that bothers me, and I mean really bothers me, if I don't eat enough protein in a day, that's okay. I can manage, one day is okay. But if I don't sleep, because let's talk about sleep because it's so important.
Yeah.
Sleep has such a knock-on effect on everything. You wake up in the morning, like, look, I'm jet lagged right now, right? So your food cravings go up. You're tired. You can't think properly. It has a direct, if you do go to the gym, you won't have enough energy.
Correct.
So the sleep is so important. And sometimes, when I'm speaking to clients, when they come to me for weight loss, I'll say, right, the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to focus on the basic things, which is sleep and water. Because they are things that people think, how's that going to help me? Quite a lot, actually, because if you go to bed on time, you're going to wake up refreshed, wanting to go, wanting to cook good meals. You've started off your day on such a positive way, revitalized. But a good morning routine starts with a good night routine.
Yeah.
So we need to get those sleep times in, So quite often I will have a conversation around, well, tell me about your night routine. What does it involve? What time do you go to bed? What do you do before you go to bed? But we need to prioritize that 100%. If there's anything that I would people to go away from this and listen to, the first thing to work on, please, is your sleep, because it will have a massive effect just on you and how you're feeling, let alone everything else.
But I think sleep is also one of the things, when people experience the downfall of not getting a proper sleep, then they are able to realize, okay, like for me, I educate people. My patient also, I'll make them, okay, you have to go to sleep at this time, you have to do this and things like that. But when it comes to me, I like, okay, let me work a little more, let me just, it's not for me, I'm still young, I can still, do things. But sleep is something, it's not related to age or anything, it is absolutely must. But of course, the more mature we get, the more the sleep is required, the more. So just we don't want to sleep in a rush, or we don't want to sleep like 2-3 ghante, like sleep for 2-3 hours and then get up and just start your routine. Your body needs sleep. And in this conversation, in one podcast, we are actually not able to discuss the entire effect of sleep, because it has got massive effect. And everyone is saying, okay, sleep, theek karo, sleep, we need to focus on sleep. But there are a lot of scientific reasons also why sleep is required, how it works on your body. Yeah, it's not only to start your morning good. It's not only to be focused. Your internal organs are also healing at that time. You're giving your body rest, and sleep is continuously. It's like a battery which is getting recharged while you are sleeping.
Yeah, because during the day, it's not getting any rest, is it?
Yeah.
Because first of all, we're constantly always eating all the time. Your digestive system gets rest, your brain gets rest. I just say as it's magic.
Yeah.
That's when the magic happens, is when you're sleeping. And yes, there's lots of, I'm not an expert on the whole sleep thing, but getting good quality sleep is extremely important. So again, maybe going to bed at 1 o'clock and waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning is very different to going to bed at 10 o'clock and waking up at 6 o'clock.
Absolutely.
So the more hours of sleep you get before midnight, the better.
Yeah, because that's the time, the growth hormone.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful magic hormone. But if we see, when we're discussing about our parents, our grandparents, and how they used to lead, eating healthy and everything, sleep was also one of the part, because they didn't had a lot of distraction, I feel.
Yeah.
And they used to sleep on time.
There was no TV back then, was there?
There was no, I don't know. I mean, there wasn't any TV, I believe. There was not home delivery food, no food home delivery. There was not many social do's. There were good family dinners. I mean, that was I'm talking about my experience. So everyone used to sleep by 10 o'clock, and neither the shops used to open till so late. Yeah.
Well, my memories of India, because I've been coming here since I was a child. I was born here and then moved to the UK, and then all my mum's family still live in India. So even when I was young, I remember, when I was 14, even in my 20s, every 10 o'clock, everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
Like not even getting ready for sleep. They are asleep.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh gosh, it's still like early for me. But, like I said, back then, like you said, there's no distractions, there's no TV, there's no phones. And this is one thing that I really worry about with my children, because they are still young, is they just want to go to sleep late. And I've been doing a few talks in schools on nutrition. And one of the things that's come up just coincidentally is sleep. So I'd say to the children, what time does everybody go to sleep? I'm shocked. It's 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then they wake up at 5, 6 o'clock for a child. That's terrible. Because as we know, children need to sleep. That's when the growing happens. That's when their brains are developing. So, we could delve a lot into sleep.
Actually, like I said, sleep is a different topic altogether. And if you look at again, going back to our parents, there was a thing called napping, the afternoon nap. That was, a lot of places still have,
yes,
they
do,
have and I think a small nap for 20 minutes, half an hour, it just charges you up. I think now I understand the real importance of napping, but I, of course, don't get time to nap. But yeah, I think napping is something which women, perimenopausal, premenopausal, or, perimenopausal, menopausal, they should consider. I think because you have such a busy day, a quick nap just boosts up your energy. It just makes you feel good. It makes you, a lot more focused, which again, we underestimate so much.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
just
if that
adding,
works for you, then yeah, absolutely. I mean,
no, I mean,
it's
it's a marvelous, even if you take a tiny nap for 20 minutes, I mean, they say after 20 minutes,
yes, that's
it
right.
just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
tiny nap for 20 minutes also, it's wonderful, I think. I think we can go on and on talking about the sleep thing. Let's talk about some bit of workouts, because as we know, during this stage, there is a lot of, physical changes which happening. One of them is osteoporosis, the bones getting weak, the joints getting weak. So what kind of workouts do you add or would you recommend for?
So, just before I answer that question, when we talk about menopause, the symptoms that most people are familiar with are what I call the short-term symptoms: the hot flushes, the loss of periods, anxiety, mood swings, all that kind of stuff. But the long-term symptoms are the heart disease, the sarcopenia, and the osteoporosis. And those are the things that we definitely need to work on now. So osteoporosis, like you said, is the weakening of bones. And we need to keep our bones as strong as possible. So as you know, we've probably all seen it in our families where an older relative will fall, fracture or break a hip, knee, whatever. And then the mortality rate
It's high.
is very, very high
The
at
hip
that
fracture
point.
mortality rate actually very high.
So my goal for every woman, your goal should be stay out of hospital. Yeah. So because you know that you can go in for a hip fracture and then end up getting an infection and then die from that infection. So what can you do? Strength training is the only way to strengthen your bones. Cardio does not the same. Pilates, yoga, all of those can work your bones and your muscles, but nothing replaces strength training. It's that important. And I would say it would be great to do it 4 times a week. But if you like to do other exercises, then maybe 3 times a week. And then, because it's also important to do what you enjoy too. Because again, we're talking about something not just for 6 months, a year, we're talking about the rest of your life now.
Correct.
So you have to fall in love with the process. And when people say to me, but why do you do it? And I say, because I know the consequences of if I don't. It really is as simple as that, So strength training is an absolute must, not just for your bones, but also for your muscles. And then the second one is protein. So when it comes to strength training, the type of exercises that you do are also important. So we want to be kind of doing more compound type movements, which are exercises where you're using more than one muscle group. So a squat, for example, or a deadlift or a chest press, they're all using more than one group of muscles. So when you're in the gym, I'm assuming that most people, whether it's gym or home, we don't have hours and hours. So what you want to do is you want to do a short, effective workout in the shortest space of time. You could easily do that in 30 minutes. You don't need to be spending an hour. I do no more than 40 minutes. My gym time is 1 hour. That is walking to my gym, workout, cooling down, warm up and cooling down is extremely important as well. And then walking home. It can all be done in an hour. You don't necessarily need a gym, but you do need a good variety of different weights. So, but I also need to emphasize the importance of, if you have never picked up a weight before, you must either join a gym where they'll teach you or get a personal trainer just for a few sessions. But please do not follow random workout off YouTube, off Instagram, and follow what they're doing if you do not know what you're doing. Because my husband, for example, has had a knee injury for such a long time, and he was following one of my workouts that I had given to him. And because of his knee, he didn't realize, but he was overcompensating on the good knee, and his form wasn't correct. The form means the way in which you do the exercise. And he's now got a problem which he's been having to have acupuncture, massages, so many different things just for that leg now. And as we get older, these kind of injuries are going to happen a lot more frequently. So just make sure that you've got someone who has guided you into showing you how to do these exercises. It's really important.
I'm glad you spoke about that, because, people are just out there, okay, let's just pick up this weight. I know a lot of people who still don't have a trainer. and they've recently started, and I'm always worried for them because they're working around me. They would be doing the machines, but still, they're like, okay, we are doing machines, we don't need any trainer because we know this. But the form, which you mentioned, form is so important. If your form is a tiny bit here and there, you can get major injury, and which can last for lifelong, and we don't want that. So it is so important. Also, I would like to take a minute to, break down the kind of, because you mentioned Pilates, you mentioned yoga, you mentioned, weightlifting, and all of these workouts have their own importance.
Yeah.
So weightlifting, we definitely need, because we want to keep our muscles, we want to keep our bones dense. It is absolutely must. You cannot replace it with anything. I feel it's super important. Pilates, I think it is more of a core workout, more of a balancing workout. I feel it's just your mind, body, everything is at a line. It's more balancing.
And a Pilates teacher told me that when you do strength training, weightlifting, you're working the large muscle groups. Pilates works the smaller ones. So they kind of work hand in hand. And then yoga is for meditation, relaxing,
and flexibility. So I think all form of workout are important, but if someone asks, okay, what is that one thing which I should not be replacing, it is weightlifting. I think that's so important. And people don't take weightlifting, particularly female, because they will think, okay, we'll get larger and things like that. So what's your take when people say, your clients say, okay, I don't want to get larger? So
well, okay, I'm 5'2", and I am and I lift heavy weights. I can deadlift. It's not about how much you lift. It's about what you can lift in accordance with in proportion to your weight. So I can easily lift 1.5 kilos of my body weight with deadlifts. So I'm pretty strong, right? Looking at me, I don't think I look, and don't forget, I eat well as well. So working out is one thing. If you're not eating well, you're kind of wasting your time really a little bit, because again, the magic happens when you combine the both of them together. So I eat well, I exercise, and I don't think I look like a man.
Not at all.
So you don't need to worry about that, honestly. There are very, very few people. Perhaps if you have polycystic ovaries, you might build muscle a little bit quicker than somebody who doesn't, because of the high testosterone. But a lot of women think that they pick up weights and they will gain weight, they will look bigger. But trust me, building muscle is a strategic process. It is so difficult. There are a lot of tick boxes in order for you to achieve that. Whereas weight loss, it's pretty simple in comparison, right? But weightlifting, you have to have a structured program for a start. You have to progressive overload, which means lift heavier over time. You have to make sure your diet is right, and you have to be doing it enough times in a week. That's a lot. So unless you're doing that, and also as you get older, it's harder to build muscle.
But to gain muscle is one more very important thing, I feel, which again, you don't want to come across with symptoms like sarcopenia, osteoporosis, things like, again, once people don't face these kind of conditions, they don't understand. But it is it's very difficult for me to understand a lot of my clients that, okay, you need muscles. Forget about if you get large or not get large. You spoke about muscles. That if you don't have, if you have a balanced testosterone, you would not get larger, even though if you keep on building the weights.
The best way I describe it is, so my daughter once said to me, "Oh, mummy, are you going to the gym again?" And I said, well, yeah, because if you don't want to wipe my bottom when I'm 85, I need to wipe my own.
I like that.
And in order for me to do that, I need to keep working out. So I listened to a podcast a few weeks back, and I hope I get this right, but they were saying that a woman in her 40s, early 50s should be able to lift 75% of her body weight. It's called a farmer's walk, this particular exercise. It's where you just lift something heavy. You should be able to lift 75% of that for 1 minute. So I tried it. I did a little bit more. I did it for 45 seconds. I think
it's some kind of challenge.
It's because that will determine if, when you're in your 80s, whether you can do something simple as open a jar.
Okay.
You know, so again, grip strength is a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
another
yeah.
important
And that is
aspect
the first
of
one people start losing. You know?
yeah, grip strength. So grip strength, muscle strength is also so important. You know, because as you said, you know, as you get older, actually the easiest way probably to describe it is when you see a patient who has got cancer, you will see them becoming frail over a period of time. That's because they've lost a lot of muscle mass because they're not eating. They're obviously not eating protein. They're not moving. So if you don't move, like I just told you about my husband, you know, he's had this thing on his knee for maybe 3 weeks. When he took it off, this leg was so much smaller, his thigh, than the other one because he wasn't putting any pressure on that foot. So when he was walking up the stairs, he's always put his good leg up first. You know, so we lose a lot of muscle mass, and we start losing muscle mass a lot quicker when menopause starts.
Yeah.
So everybody loses muscle, men, women, everyone from the age of 30, but it rapidly starts to decline when menopause starts. So we now, as I said earlier, we now need to start thinking about when I'm 70, am I going to be able to walk to the shops? And when we talk about strength training, right, you know, lifting weights, do you want to be able to go to the shops and lift your groceries and come? Just something as simple as that, you know, taking your suitcase out of your car, taking it off the belt when you're at the airport. All of that requires strength. So that work has to start now. Yeah. That's not to say it's ever too late. It's never too late to start. You know, my mom is 80 something, 83, I think. She's just started walking. She does yoga. She does 3 hours a day. That's brilliant. But I said to her, that's really good. But we haven't even talked about movement yet. That's a whole different conversation because exercise and walking are two different things. You need both. So I said to her, you need to start walking. So eventually, after God knows how many years, she does like an hour a day of walking. But before she didn't have time, you see, she's retired and she's like, I don't have time to walk. What do you mean you don't have time? You're not doing anything. But now she's found that time. And I said to her, well, where did you find the time from? She goes, well, I enjoy it now. So if you enjoy something, you'll make that time.
You will do it.
So it's not only important to exercise, but it's also important to move on a daily basis.
Also, you know, I just wanted to conclude this topic with, you know, that muscle don't have any memory. Sorry, muscle do not have any aging.
Yes.
So if you can make muscle at any time, you know, sometimes, you know, like people who are into their 70s, I mean, I don't need it now. I can't make it now, you know. But if you decide you can make, like you said, it's never late. You can start at any point and you can build it up from there.
You can start at any point and it will work. But the earlier you do it, obviously the better.
Of course.
But if somebody came to me and they're 75, I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm going to say, right, we just need to change what you're doing because you can't do what a 40-year-old is doing. You have to be even more careful that you don't get injuries, that your recovery is a lot better. So I have some Asian women who are in their 60s and 70s, and I say to them, you know what, you're showing your generation that this is how life should be. And I say to them, if you still want to be around for your grandchildren, you need to do it now. You know, you need to start putting in that work now so that you can play with your grandchildren, you can take them to the park, you can pick them up from the school. You know, sometimes we have to visualize those kind of things that, well, okay, what does that mean? Yeah, she's telling me to do that. She said, well, what does that actually mean? What it means is that if you enjoy doing something, let's just say you enjoy going on on a temple visit, let's just say. If you still want to be doing that in your 70s, you need to start putting in that work now. I enjoy going on holidays. Yeah. So if I want to carry on going on holidays and going to exotic places and climbing waterfalls and doing all that, I need to carry on doing all this stuff now so I can still do it in 10 years' time.
You know, funny thing that this thing brings me to a story that, you know, again, I came across to, you know, a group of friends who were like, they started with some club, you know, a new club. So they're like, okay, let's just roam around, you know, let's just go. It would be a traveling club. We are going to travel. We're going to visit the world, whatever places, everything. And they were like, okay, we'll keep this club for, you know, 3-4 years, and we are going to put this much of this kind of age group, like from, for an example, let's say from 45 to 50. okay, for 5 years, and then after 5 years you retire. I'm like, why 5 years you retire? Because after 5 years you would not have energy to roam around. I mean, you already considering this point that after 5 years you would not have energy to roam around. I was like, oh my God, I mean, if you're coming up with that kind of mindset, how are you going to last? Where are we looking at the centenarians? How are you going to think that, okay, you're going to be there for your grandkids' wedding and you're going to dance and things like that, and you're going to wear designers, Manisha Morgan, such, when you're already saying, we don't have energy, after 50, you don't have energy.
You see, back when I was young, somebody who was 50 was old.
Yeah.
Now 50 is young.
Yeah.
So now we have older women to aspire to. Oh wow, if she can do that, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
So,
and we need more and more, women like this,
yes,
to be on social media and to speak about the reality, what was their journey, because the social media is so masked with various kind of information. It's all perfect body, perfect faces everywhere, giving the information, okay, I do this for my skin. You already have a good skin,
Yes. Do you know what? If anybody wants to promote a skin cream, don't give it to 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
Absolutely.
you want to show that it doesn't cause wrinkles, it's going to refine your wrinkles, whatever. So give it to an older woman.
Exactly.
So you see, but this is what on my social media page, I'm very passionate about this. You know what? I take everyone through my highs and my lows. Yeah. So last year I've shared this is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. Guys, and this is me. This is someone who is fit, someone who eats well. So imagine if I wasn't doing all that. And you will know, as a doctor, I say to everyone, you need to put yourself in the best position for your health. So if one day you get that phone call saying, I'm sorry, but you have got X, Y, and Z, your baseline health at that point is going to determine your prognosis. The medications that you can take, it's going to dictate everything. So you need to be in the best place that you can, because anything could happen at any point now. Whereas what happens is, I mean, I've just made a list actually yesterday on the plane of warning signs that people get, but they ignore. Osteopenia. Why would you ignore osteopenia? Because if you have osteopenia, it means you are going to get osteoporosis. And then you panic. Oh my God, I've got osteoporosis. But you had the warning.
Yeah.
I'm pre-diabetic. So why didn't you do anything about it now? You're coming to me you told me a year ago you were pre-diabetic, and now you're coming to me a year later panicking. Oh, I'm going to cut out carbs. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start exercising 6 days a week. Calm down. You had your warning. So please, if you have a warning, if you have a family history, you do not need to accept that it's going to happen to you. My dad had diabetes, type 2 cholesterol, high blood pressure. He had everything. Okay, he was also a smoker. He got lung cancer and he died. That does not mean that I have to have it. I don't have it. I don't have any of those because I can change that course of history now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, we know it's genetics, but lifestyle plays 95% of that role.
Absolutely.
So we can change our future. It's all in your hands. But I would also like to say that I kind of always feel that when I'm talking about menopause, I always feel that I'm painting a really negative picture of, oh God, is that what's going to happen? Oh my God, like I've got to do that. I just want everyone to know that life does not need to end. It should not end when menopause starts. It can begin.
Yeah.
For me, all my greatest achievements have been since the menopause. I became a nutritionist. I got made redundant. I started my own business. I'm a personal trainer.
Wow.
And I'm 53. So it really is in your hands. Yeah. But you need to make that happen. You need to believe now that you can still be happy, free, confident. You don't need to lose your self-esteem, your self-worth. But unfortunately, you're the only one that's in control of that. Nobody else. It's so important.
Very well said. I love the conclusion. Menopause is not the end. It is a new beginning. It is entire new journey, and it's on to you how you want to process it. It's completely on you. It's also important to take care of the diet and lifestyle and the workout, which we just discussed. So to conclude it, finally, the conclusion. If you want to give 5 things which people at perimenopause and menopause should be doing, what are those?
Sleep well. Make sure you eat enough protein, move every single day, exercise, resistance training. But the most important one, they're all important, but the most important one is change the mindset. Yeah, because that's the hardest thing to change. Your body is changing, accept it, embrace it. think positively, think about the future, think about all the things that you want to do, and that will be the driver for you to do everything else. Yeah. The reason why what drives me is I'm an older mom. So I'm 53, my kids are 13. I have plans when they go to university. I have plans. Yeah. And I want to be able to fulfill my dreams. But that work starts now. And because that is my driver, it's not weight loss, it's not anything like that. I just want a great life. Yeah. And that is what makes me do everything else that I've just mentioned. So change your mindset, please. It's the most important thing. It takes work. Like with everything, it takes work. You need to be in that positive mindset all the time. That self-talk that you have in your head is extremely important. Yeah. And surround yourself with the people who are going to support you the best.
Excellent. So that was amazing. We spoke all about the menopause and how you can gather a good friend and how the mindset is super important. So do listen to this podcast, and you can always reach Manisha for any kind of feedback. The link would be attached at the podcast below and the YouTube below. Thank you so much.